coming out to the class tonight. Tonight we're going to be looking at Revelation 6. We're going to be looking at seal 5 and 6 of the seals that Jesus is opening in the scroll. Last week we looked at it when Jesus was given the scroll from God. He's the only one worthy to open the seals. We looked at the first 4 seals. Those seals show trigger events of things that are going to happen on the earth. The first event we looked at was the rider on a white horse, and that is actually a picture of the Antichrist. The second is a picture of war coming. The third is going to be famine. And the fourth is going to be just bloodshed, pestilence, earthquake. It's going to be pretty bad. So the situation we've looked at so far is pretty horrendous. At this point now we're going to open up 5 and 6, and we're going to see a different picture. Let's look at Revelation 6, 9 through 11. I gave you all the scriptures in your notes there, so it'll be easier to follow along. Revelation 6, 9 through 11. When the Lamb broke the 5th seal, I saw underneath the altar the souls of those who had been slain because of the word of God, and because of the testimony which they had maintained. And they cried out with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, will you refrain from judging and avenging our blood on those who dwell on the earth? And there was given to each of them a white robe, and they were told that they should rest for a little while longer until the number of their fellow servants and their brethren who were to be killed, even as they had been, would be completed also. So, as I said, up until this point, you saw specific trigger. You see a man going out on a white horse. You see a man going out to cause war. You see a man saying on a horse that there's going to be famine. Okay, but we don't see the outcome, but you understand what that outcome is from the rider. This is different. You're seeing the reversal. You're seeing the result, the outcome. We don't know what the trigger is. We can surmise by looking at the scripture and what's going to happen what this is. What we see is, after the countless number of people that have been killed on the earth in these first 4 seals, you suddenly have an event that singles out Christians. Doesn't say in this that everybody was killed. It says people who believed in Jesus Christ as their Savior were killed. It's not an event like an earthquake, where you could say, oh, we died, now we're in heaven. They're saying, when are you going to judge those who did that to us? So it is a specific event that happens in the world to kill Christians. It's an open season on Christians. Now, they asked God, would you judge? But if he did that, you'd actually stop the tribulation and nobody else would get saved. God has to let it happen and play out. Not only does he have to, because prophetically he told us this is going to happen. His word has to be true. But if he stopped it right here, Revelation 6, God says, I'm going to listen to these guys and I'm just going to bring judgment. We're going to end this now. Who would he be killing? Christians. No, he'd be killing the people running the earth, attacking Christians, and eventually killing Christians, because Christians wouldn't get, these people who are eventually going to be saved wouldn't get saved. So he's actually has such a love to get as many people in, he's willing to allow it to happen. It's also a judgment time. So it's not like he could just say, I'm going to stop the judgment. I'm going to just turn it off. It's okay. He says it's got to happen. And if I stopped it, we'd have millions of people lost that would never have eternity with him. He wants to have all his kids come in. How many times do we let our kids go through things? We know they're going to get in trouble for it. We know they're setting themselves up for disaster. They go, well, I'm going to do it, Dad. It's not going to work. I'm going to do it, Dad. It's not going to work that way. I'm going to do it, Dad. Go right ahead. And they come back and go, I should have listened to you, Dad. You go, yeah. But you know what? We'll learn. And we'll get better at this. And you'll trust. God wants us to just listen and obey. And unfortunately, we're just not really good at that. We have kind of a hard head. Now, you see this trigger, which obviously is religious hatred. You're seeing that right now. Like for years, we've been pretty lucky. We haven't had any problems. Now in the past couple years, you're seeing this Christian hatred ramp up. And now you're seeing whole villages of Christians in the Middle East being killed and wiped out. Men, women, children. And they're not just being killed, they're being tortured. Heads are cut off, put on crosses. They're being burned alive. It's a horrible time right now. It's only going to get worse. If we think it's bad now, and what we're seeing, I can't even imagine what Seal 5 is going to be like, or afterwards, because this is just the beginning. Jesus said, or the Lord said, you got to wait. because more of this is coming. You just got to wait. This is going to be horrific. I have a theory as to what's going on. As I've taught you before, the rapture of the church technically starts in Revelation 4. If the church, which embodies truth, light, love, grace, mercy, understanding, is gone, the ones who keep a watch, the ones when they see something wrong, to say, wait. No, we're not going to stand for that. We're going to get a protest here. We're going to get a petition signed, and millions of people sign up. And the world says, okay, we're not going to do that anymore because goodness spoke up. Okay? That's gone. We're not here. What's left? Lukewarm Christians. The rapture comes, everyone disappears. Now imagine you're in the church, but you just don't know God. You don't spend time with God. You don't read. You don't study, pray. You're not involved in the church. You don't really go that much. You go, oh, I believe it's Jesus. Well, the Bible says that even the demons believe and shudder, and they're not saved. So you have a group of people in the church that just kind of lukewarm. Rapture comes, they leave. The true church is gone, and they're left behind going, no, I'm a Christian. I didn't miss the rapture. Something else happened. Or there's people that went, wow, I messed this up. Or they might get mad at God. So you might have people, which obviously, they're people that are going to turn. They're going to go, wow, I messed it up. There's other people that are going to be like, how could you do this? How could you do this to me? And they're going to get angry, and they're going to turn. You're going to have all kinds of lies. The Bible says that they believe the lie. What's the lie? I can only imagine it has something to do with where'd everybody go? So when people say there's no pre-trib rapture, then what lie are they going to believe? There has to be something up there that they're going to believe that's going to deceive them to pull them away from God. Has to be. We're gone. Now we're gone. There's nothing to control the world when it comes to religion. And not that we control the world, but we're like I said, a beacon on a hill. A lot of people look to us even by our witness. What makes you different? How come your boss just yelled at you and you just said, okay, boss, but you were in the right? And we just, you give off a reflection of Jesus Christ. But now that's not here anymore. No more Jesus in the world, right? Who would rise? Satan. And what's his religion? I hate to say it that way, but the Muslim or Islamic faith will rise. Their main teaching is to dominate the world. If we're not here, it's open season. They can do whatever they want. They're going to go for it. Imagine, they say 80% of this country are Christian. Now imagine out of that 20% are truly saved, 25%, and they go. Imagine all the Christians around the world going. And suddenly there's this void. They're already here. They're already in Europe. They're already taking over Europe. You're seeing through the news, through these migrants moving in from Syria, they're destroying Germany and Sweden and Norway. They're raping people, raping women and children. They're killing, they're stealing, they're looting. And they said, we deserve this. Why aren't we getting it? They're walking around with banners. Where's my house? Where's my TV? Where's my money? So they're already pushing. Now if there's no Christians, nothing will stop them. What happens here is an event beyond the war that they says, time to go. And they're everywhere. So they're going to start this push. And if you look at the map, and you see they're already in the United States, they're in Canada, they're in all of Europe, they're in the Middle East, they're in the top of Africa, they're in the islands, the Philippines, they're out here. They've already surrounded the earth, so to speak, and they're everywhere. So when it comes down to there's no Christians left, the war has killed everybody else, they go, it's our time, and they rise. Now, Revelation 6, let's move into something where we're going to get into a science lesson here. So you see, we had war and all this, then you have us being killed. Now it's something completely different. You had an earthquake, seal 4. What's this? You're going to have this event that I tried to lay out, and I'm going to show you in 4 pictures what this means scientifically. Before when we read, I'm going to try to show you scientifically and naturally what's going on. Let's look at Revelation 6, 12 through 17. I looked when he broke the 6th seal, and there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth made of hair, and the whole moon became like blood. And the stars of the sky fell to the earth, as a fig tree casts its unripe figs when shaken by a great wind. The sky was split apart like a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Then the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the commanders, and the rich and strong, and every slave and free man hid themselves in caves and among the rocks of the mountains. And they said to the mountains and the rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the presence of him who sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who is able to stand? I'm also going to move into Revelation 7:1, because this is part of this situation. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on the land or on the sea or any tree. There is no trigger to what causes this event. You can't just say it's a huge earthquake. You can't say it is a bomb, a nuclear war. It doesn't say anything like that. If you look at history, God has used nature in judgment, in wrath, and punishment. He's used nature over and over again. If you look at the majority of the plagues that befell Egypt, it's nature. Now, turning a river to blood is not natural. Everything else, for the most part, is and can be explained through science. So God says, you want to worship frogs? I'll give you frogs. You want to worship the sun? I'll give you the sun. You want to worship insects? I'll give you insects. He just uses nature right against them. They worshiped all these things. He brought it on them. You sing in Joshua, when Joshua had the long day of Joshua, it says, and he goes against his enemies. God brought meteorites down to strike the enemy, hit them all in the back as they're running. Not one Israelite was hit. They call them bolides, these small meteorites. Imagine God knew there's going to be a meteorite shower and lined it up on that day and knew exactly where every one of those little tiny rocks is going to hit on earth, and it hit every enemy of God in the back as they're fleeing. More people were killed by that than they were by swords. God uses nature, okay? So, little science lesson here. Let me show you a couple things. First of all, it says God, let's see, let me go back here. A great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth made of hair, and the whole moon became like blood, the stars fell to the earth, the sky was split apart, the islands were moved out of place, and the mountains disappeared. There's an event here that really fits what's called a pole shift. If you've ever heard of a pole shift, it's kind of like, let me get over here and I'll show you. Now imagine this would be like an orange. This is the peel of the orange. This is the meat. Imagine if you could somehow take the skin or the peel and rotate it, and the meat stays where it is. Because usually as you're peeling back the peel, it's attached to the meat, right? Something happens and it just rotates like this. So the core of the earth has your plates. You know, like you have your San Andreas Fault and all these other faults, right? They're constantly moving underneath this molten lava. The earth heats and cools and heats and cools and has to be able to move and give and flow. You have these tectonic plates. Well, there is, since it's a molten core, they say, and there's iron in there, and that's why we're magnetic to the sun, something causes this outer shell to spin. And it seems that it's magnetic. Or you could say it's the other way around, that this part, the magnetic part, spins and we stay where we are, but everything is now 180. What used to be north is now south and south is now north. So you're going to have this event. They say from this pole shift, you're going to have mass amounts of water suddenly being thrust where they were hanging out. The Gulf of Mexico is sitting there and suddenly everything spins and that water's got to go somewhere. When this happens, it reflects a change in the magnetosphere. The magnetosphere, let's say you have your poles, we're kind of on an angle, 23-degree angle. So you have the pole north and south coming out. From there, the North Pole, South Pole emit a magnetic barrier, which is protective. It protects the Earth from solar winds. So the sun's over here, and you have a solar, what's it called? A solar flare. Thank you. So you have a solar flare coming at the Earth. This deflects it and they have satellites that monitor this, and you see with solar flares, well, this will suddenly go, whoa, and move in because it gets hit by these cosmic rays, the radiation of the solar wind. This is designed to take a hit and move it away. So the solar wind goes around the earth, and you can see how the movement, you can watch the flow, like that. Now, if you suddenly have the magnetosphere gone, you have no atmosphere. I saw a movie on it, and they were trying to explain it, and they say literally, for the amount of time this changes, you suddenly could have the blue sky disappear because there's nothing holding it in. It just gets, they show this one animation with this suddenly is over here, and it's moving at that same time. It's moving like this. The magnetosphere goes nuts. And you're going to see a change. You're going to have a huge earthquake, obviously. So a lot of the events that's pictured here is talking about a pole shift. The only thing that you could naturally find a reason for this. Now, the only problem with a pole shift is, how do you have something that blocks out the sun, but still gives light to the moon? A pole shift wouldn't do that. So if you look at it another way, some people say the nuclear war did it. Let's say the Earth is surrounded by thick clouds in its nuclear winter. How could you see the moon? You can't, you can't see the sun, but you wouldn't be able to see the moon either. So it's not a nuclear war. Is it just an eclipse? Eclipse wouldn't cause this. So there's natural reasons, but you can't say it was an eclipse that did it. You can't say it was just a pole shift. You can't say the magnetosphere got messed up. And if you understand the way the Earth and the sun work together, you know there's a magnetic pole. It keeps us where we are. I guess that magnetic pole from the other planets also keeps us spinning. Okay, so we're very attuned in our universe to everything around us. If something, did you ever hear like if say a meteorite's coming by the Earth, they said it could actually get pulled in by a gravitational pull? Okay, so we pull on other objects too. It's magnetic. God designed a magnetic universe. So there's a magnetic connection here. So what it seems that something is going to cause a problem that's going to come in between the sun and the earth. It's going to disrupt the magnetic pull to the sun, therefore messing up our magnetosphere. Right now we have a give and take between the sun, this movement. Something comes in between and stops that. Now we're like, whoa, the earth goes nuts. Something with its own magnetic pull takes over for a period of time. If the earth is spinning this way, if something was coming from let's say the south side or that side of around the sun and coming between us, if you have an object going like this that's magnetic, do you ever guys play with magnets? Mm-hmm. You put a magnet on the table and you pull it, you can lean it one way or the other, or you can repel. If this thing, let's say its north pole is here, there's its north and here's its south and here's our north, what's going to happen? You're going to have that. If this thing's going through fast, powerful, blocks out the sun, but it's not that big that the light can't get past this and illuminate the moon, like an eclipse. So you try to put all these science pieces together and say, what could cause all of it? This. Some rogue planet. Could it be an asteroid? Have to be pretty big to have enough pull that's going to mess us up in our rotation, that's going to mess up our pole shift. So I'm picturing something like a rogue planet. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm not a scientist. I'm just trying to give you what I've studied and looked at a lot of scientific websites about this. Something's coming through here. It's going to break this magnetic for a minute. This is going to get pulled to this. It could mess up our rotation. It could even make us go the other way. If it's here long enough, moving powerful enough, we would go, start to go back the other way. If Revelation 7 says the winds were held back, well, they say it's where we get a lot of our winds on the earth is from our movement. Now, if we're suddenly stopped because the magnetic pole's messed up and something stops us, the winds would stop. Does God use the angel? It could have just been that he holds back the wind, because he's a supernatural God and he can do that. Is it something moves through and messes us up and slows us down? It could be that too. I don't know 100% on that. I'm just trying to give you a picture of nature and how God uses nature. So you're seeing an event that is not war. That's not a bomb. It's not a bunch of people being executed. It's devastation on a worldwide scale. And it is, as it says, the earth, it says in the Old Testament, the earth went to and fro like a drunkard. The earth is going to spin.
That was caused by the hand of God, all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, all he has to do
Is twist us. Like
and he knows how to do it.
the ring of fire. Really, I mean, if you picture that ring of fire all through here on the earth, all he has to do is dial it up, move things around. That's a huge plate. So all of this event is going to cause such devastation, we can't even comprehend it. What happened with Indonesia, with the tsunami, what happened in Japan, 100,000 people dying in a day. We've never seen anything like this. That's nothing. That's going to pale in comparison. Like I say, remember the good old days when Indonesia? I mean, compared to this is going to be huge. If the magnetosphere is down, it's going to allow particles, dust, could be small bolides, meteorites to come in. You're going to have more what's called meteorite showers. The only way you can explain all this in one fell swoop is God knows exactly what's coming, when, and forecasted and told you what's going to happen. He's going to use it for his will. Did he grab a planet and throw it through? He could have. We don't know. This is just a picture to show you how you can symbolize what God does and how he does it, and what's going to affect the earth. Through science, we see this is going to cause quite a stir. So let me move forward. Now, this is an interesting point. If the United States is destroyed in the pole shift, we're surrounded by a lot of water. In here, we have a lot of indents and things. When this pole shift happens, you're going to have the waters rushing. When you look at, say, Africa going into the Middle East, there's a bit of water here in the Mediterranean, India. This area is basically going to be untouched. It's solid landmass, basically north to south. So when it says in the book of Revelation, you see later that the Antichrist will take his seat in Babylon. We'll get into that obviously in depth when we get to that chapter. That is Saudi Arabia. I don't think there's any place else for him to go. You'd think if he's part of the UN, he'd be stationed here in New York City. New York's going to be wiped out. So what, and it could have already been wiped out by war. I don't want to say it's wiped out here. We already saw that the earth has already gone through a bunch of trouble. So it makes sense. Everything started here in the Middle East, and that's where it's going to end. God's bringing it all back to where it started. He is going to have the Antichrist have his power, his throne here. It says in the book of Daniel that Russia and China are going to come against, as people say, oh, Israel's under attack. Well, according to chapter 12, Israel's already left and went to Petra to hide. So they're not here anymore. So it's not like Gog and Magog is going after Israel to take something they want. They're going against a guy claiming world domination and authority over the world. A guy who's controlling a people group so large we can't even comprehend. And what they're capable of doing. Cutting people's heads off because you said something. Well, I'm not sure about this. Take him to the center square and cut his head off. That's a group of people that are willing to do anything. They put bombs on themselves and walk in, as you just saw in Paris, to kill a whole group of people. They don't care about their lives. They really don't. So it started here. It's going to end here. There's so many scriptures about the Antichrist being called the Assyrian. Assyria back then is today's Iraq. He's going to be Muslim. It says they don't regard, he doesn't describing the Antichrist, he does not regard women. Muslims don't regard women at all. They consider them as equal to a dog. They consider them something as property that you can hold and keep in slavery.
People too, that you might be homosexual.
Yeah, that's what they say, but I think if you look at it in that term, that you say they don't regard women, I think technically it's that none of them, they don't care. They abuse women, they can take them, they can go into a tribe or a small village, kill the men, take the women, because they're allowed. They don't care, and it's not like they have any feeling toward the women. They can kill them if they want to. Remember Boko Haram went into that Christian school, took all the girls? No, we're going to keep them. We're going to make them all. Then they sold them off to all their fighters and gave them wives. They were Christian girls. Gave them all wives.
You think he's going to be Muslim?
Yeah. According to where he's going to be in Scripture, there'd be nobody else in power there. That when it says they're going to go against Babylon in the end, Babylon is it's as it states in the word. Mystery Babylon is going to be a city in the desert. It's going to be a city near water. It's going to be a city where people pitch tents. It's going to be a city when it's destroyed that people are going to throw dust on their head. No one throws dust on their head but Islam and the Hebrews. Who else puts tents out there? When you go, they have to go there once in their lifetime for the Hajj. They have like 1 million tents set up right now with air conditioning to go there and walk around this black rock. They have to walk around it 7 times and go up and touch it, and that takes away their sin.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is the rock, right? But they have their own rock.
You knew they're supposed to move the UN out of the United States, right?
I think prophetically they already know.
Because they're, by the end of 2016, they're supposed to move it over to the Middle East. They had already voted on that this past February.
So we're seeing it happen. It's being laid out before our eyes. And I don't think there's any other way of interpreting who it's going to be. I mean, there's more things that point to Mystery Babylon. I mean, they say its wealth is huge to the point that they import everything, gold, silver. Do you ever see some of their gold-plated cars, gold-plated toilets? They have a car, I saw one car over in Saudi Arabia covered in diamonds. The whole car is covered in diamonds. They have so much money they don't do with it. And it says the kings of the earth had fornication with her, meaning business. And it's all money, and it's all about the oil. And they don't care what she does. It says in Revelation, I sit as a queen, and no one tells me what to do, right? No one tells Saudi Arabia not to cut heads off. They're committing atrocities every day. The world knows it. And they look away. Why? Because we're getting oil from them. They're a partner of ours. We don't say anything. They are trafficking humans. It says in Revelation, they trafficked in human beings. There's not many nations that fit the bill. You could say, oh, Babylon is America. America, no one pitches tents. No one deals specifically in slave trade as a normal way of living. No one cuts heads off as a normal way of living, and then it's accepted around the world. If we did that, the world would, we would be under attack right now if we're cutting heads off. But they do it, no one says a thing, because that's where they get the oil. So it really stems back to a Muslim nation, and the city that's described would have to be Mecca, because Mecca controls the religion. The religion is their government. All right, let's move on here. My conclusion to wrap this up is what we're seeing in seals 5 and 6 just adds insult to injury after seals 1, 2, 3, and 4. What we've seen happen already is devastating enough. This is just going to be earth-shattering, almost finishing us off. It's going to be pretty bad. Imagine the people that went through plagues and pestilence, or your pestilence is your plague. They went through pestilence and famine. They go through war, and now they're hunted for their belief. It's surprised that anybody's actually going to be left. And then the earth gets turned upside down. Then it's just going to go nuts. So, you think you got it bad now? You think you have some issues? You don't have a clue. From what's coming, this is going to be devastating. Now, I was looking at this, and what's the takeaway of these 2 seals? The martyrs killed in seal 5. They're on the earth. Why? Because they didn't care. Some might have had a relationship with Jesus, or they said they did, they thought they did. They might have been too busy for God. They might have thought it was folklore and fairy tale. They might have thought, I'm too busy. Yeah, I'm a Christian, but I got so much I'm doing with my family, I just can't go to church. I'm so busy I can't read and pray. I'm so busy I can't serve God. They're living a life that they know He's there, and they put Him as third, fourth, or fifth in their lives. He's not on the pedestal, everything else is. How many people put hobbies before God? Oh, Sunday morning I'm on the golf course. Or Sunday noon, I got to be watching the game, I can't be at church. They're putting everything else before God, and God says, that's not my kid. My kid says, I have time for my dad. I'm going to spend time with my dad because I love my dad. And we're seeing a group of people that were just too busy or too embarrassed. They just didn't want to be part of that. And now they're going to suffer. They waited until it was too late. Now they're being executed for their faith. Are we that dedicated now to avoid this? This is what I get out of this is a warning. This book was written to the churches. Don't forget that. It was not written to heathens. It was not written to the unsaved. It was not written to anybody else but the church to see the signs of the times and prepare yourself in your heart and help others find their way. When we see a picture of what's going to happen to these people in the future, we have to have a heart for that. And we have to be ready to tell everyone and warn them. But are you ready? Are you willing to stand the fire? The thing that changed these people is Jesus Christ. And they're willing to die for it. The seal 5, they're getting their heads cut off for their belief. Are you willing right now to die for the Lord? Are you willing to suffer for the Lord? Are you willing to put away the things you want to do, the things you find important? Are you willing to sidestep all that and say, God comes first? Because they did.
That's what it's gonna take.
It's going to take a shaking. Now,
Everything that can be shaken
we'll be shaken. We believe, but our earth's never been shaken. We've never been to this point. So my encouragement to you is to prepare your heart every day as if He's coming today. Are you ready right now to receive Him? Are you ready right now to say, I'm going to heaven? Or are we too busy? Because if we're too busy, we could be the ones in the fifth seal. And I don't want to see that for anybody. So I just want you to think about that and remember how much He loves you and how much He just wants a relationship with His kids. This isn't about a religion, it's a relationship. Amen?
Amen.
Amen.